Hello, 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 everybody. It's been a while since I last saw you guys or spoke to you guys regarding empowerment or the Wednesday show. It's been a while. I've been around, but we've had summer break. So I actually took a few weeks off for summer break because I felt that I needed to collect my thoughts together. So we back now. And on today's episode, I have another fantastic woman who is going to share her journey with us as to the factors that enable her to begin this journey of empowerment, because there's always a trigger for us. Whether or not you're male, female, whatever, there's always a trigger that have actually set us off on this empowerment journey, because we don't just get up one morning and say, oh yes, I'm going to start this empowerment journey. It doesn't start like that. There's always a trigger. There's sometimes that it's something you want to do for a while and then you haven't done it. And then one morning you get up, you say, you know what, I am going to follow that, right? For me, it was, I had some time off and I went back after looking after my mother for a while. So then that was my trigger to start again on my empowerment journey, because I've been there, off and on for a while. This journey never ends. Whilst you're alive, you are always on an empowerment journey, because you could never be fully empowered. There's always something, new things come in your life all the time. Anyway, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I would love to welcome my new guest. Diljit, can you tell us, a bit about yourself? What part of the world you come from? So thank you very much for accepting the offer to come onto the show to share your journey with us. Really appreciate that, because when we actually share our journey, other women realize that they're not alone and they're not an isolated case. They're not an isolated case and they're not alone. So therefore, they feel comfortable and they will begin to step out of the comfort zone to start talking about it. Okay, introduce yourself.
Hiya everyone, I'm Daljit. So I am from Birmingham. Originally, I've been born and brought up from East London, and I moved up to Birmingham since 2016.
All right, so technically you're Burmese, right?
Yeah. Well, they call it Black Country, but it's not that bad yet.
All right.
I've not heard the accent.
Oh, exactly. Yes. So the fact that you left London, you're thinking, you know what, I'm leaving all this behind me and I'm now, starting again. Thank you for that. Can you share with the audience as to what have triggered you to begin or continue on your self-development journey and your empowerment journey?
So what has started, I think, recently was the biggest impact in my life. Started at the age of when I was about 6, and I didn't know till I joined an online company, which actually is a non-profit company, which helps sponsors. It's called Sophia, so which actually is for women, children that are sexually abused at a young age. It's a retreat where they can find the inner healing for that. And I've recently started that journey. So I went the July gone, so in the summer holidays, I went over to Utah, and I had the 4 days it's in Utah. So they got one in Utah and one in Georgia. So it's all in America. They are working their way up to have a retreat over here. So hopefully it could help a lot of it. At the moment, they're targeted for women, but they are also considering men as well, and they're trying to work that out as well, how they can get a men's retreat as well, because don't forget, men do suffer in silence with this as well. It's not just about women. So this is mainly based on women, and women came from every direction in this retreat. They can have about 24, but there was about 17 of us at that time of the retreat, but they can accommodate about 24. And it's owned by a couple, one of the main wife, because she felt that she needed to do something for women to be able to speak about it, And it's taken me a long time. The journey it started, it's been like, I think when I signed up for this online company, it was in 2014, when
Ooh.
it got launched into UK. And obviously, at first, I was only so sold by the mascara. And then when I understood the company started talking about, sexually abused children, like, women, what that kind of triggered me, because it kind of started ringing the terminology to me, because I was like, oh my God, that's what I've gone through. I couldn't add the pieces to while I was being brought up as a child, because at that time of the method, the culture and stuff, we don't talk about things like that. As soon as you mention sex, it's like, oh, be quiet, like that. You can't talk about anything like that. And this is what I'm trying to implement, that to break that circle, that the generation curse has carried on till now. And I have been outspoken to my boys. So I've got 2 boys, which are 11 and 12. And I spoke quite openly to them. And I know some people judge because they're too young to understand this. You should have told them. But I felt like I was ready. I needed to tell that their mother was on this journey, and why I'm going on this journey. And I wanted them to know why I was away for 2 weeks, but like those 4 days why I was away more, to go into the retreats. And then I explained to them that the way the men generation curse as well, where the cultural thing where women has to do everything. So I'm juggling that life as well, because I've been married from someone back home, from India. So it was a different impact, because obviously when you're born British here, mentalities are really different. And so I have got a lot going on in my life, and I think my head is still screwed on. And yeah, so it started from there. I think, like, when I started to realize what I actually went through as a childhood, I started realizing that, it needs to be a subject that needs to be spoken out to, and that the parents, because they have like a list where at age appropriate, you can actually start teaching your kids at a young age. So I would drop that link in after, if anybody wants to, like, go on
Yes,
it, thefear.org.
yes.
They can have a research on it. It's like you get free resources on there. It's even for teachers, for yourself as well, if you would like to have a look. And like loads of information on there which can help, we can be that voice and prevent it from another child or another woman or a boy, any men, or to go through that in their life. It is quite traumatic. It's taken me years to build my self-confidence. It wasn't easy. I used to hate myself. I used to say I was ugly. I never used to look in a mirror and know how to apply makeup. Now I've learned over the years. But this is how I express myself through my makeup is like an art, it's like a therapy. So, and to have that feeling to make other women feel beautiful about themselves, that is so empowering, because it reminds me of the time where I was like that. And I was like, if I can change or make someone's day, just lit a smile on their face, to me, that's me done. Like, I've done something good today. And so this sexual abuse happened at the age of 6. And at the time, it's like it was a female. And then as I grew older, it was, it was like, I know I shouldn't say it, but like these people that we say meant to take care of us, but it was my babysitter that implemented that kind of. So it was that, which was and then from that it was a holy person. So that was where I got molested by him, and it was hard to explain when I tried to explain to my mum about it. She brushed it under the carpet, because that's what we normally do. We don't talk about these subjects, you bring shame to the family, you're being so open about it. And now I'm using that voice because I know that there are a lot of women out there that are dying and suffering in silence. And, you know, they carry this into their adulthood, which is not healthy, because this is where you suffer all this highly depression, you know, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, you know, you go through mental health. And then it implemented me more triggers, because my boys were getting at that age, and I was like, you know, you just want to wrap them in cotton wool, like as in parents, because of what I went through. I didn't want them to ever go through, but I needed to recently learn that I need to let that go, let them grow and let them adventure the world, because I was always, you know, kept indoors. I couldn't go out, anything, you know, I was controlled to be inside. I'm not allowed to go out. So where I feel like if you let your kids go out and have that relationship with them, you know, as I want to be with my boys, I want them to be like, see me as a friend as well as a mother figure, but like they can come to me and talk to me about anything, because it's older generation, like conversation, like for example, like, you know, you get sexual education in school, and my little one come up to me and he went, "Mum, you bleed." And I went, "Oh God." I do. And then my grandma was there. She was like, "Shush, be quiet. You shouldn't be talking like that." And I was like, "No, I will answer him." I said, "Yes, we do." And she's like, "Oh my God, that is so embarrassing. You're bringing the shame." And I went, "No, because we need to talk about this subject." I said, young men need to start learning at a young age what women go through, because
Yes.
mainly we are like, no, nothing against men, but like women carry so much
Yep.
more than a man does. And like now it's why we're empowered by a lot of women today's world, and men don't like that. And so I told him, yeah, we do. And then I explained to him, but like it should be that kind of relationship with a child. You should be educating them at an early stage to prevent you know, sexual abuse from happening.
I so agree with you on that. And the interesting thing about it is your grandma is from such a different era. And for her, it's like, oh my goodness, where are you going with this? You're not supposed to talk about this. And it's like all the fear and the shame and the, you know, it should not be spoken about and nobody need to know about that. So it's like all of that again, just repeating itself, that these are supposed to be a hush hush. And as you say, the more we keep it a hush hush, the more we do not educate our boys. So therefore, as a result of that, they don't know about how to navigate their own emotion. And they don't realize that, hold on, you also have feelings as a woman. You're not a robot. And it is so important that we make them aware of that. And where else should it come from than the primary socialization, which is the family, you know, which is from, you know, the home, instead of secondary socialization where it come from school. It should be from home. And, you know, good on you for actually discussing that with your sons, because it's important that
Thank you
they
for
are aware
inviting
of
me,
that.
really. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so important. You know, the beautiful thing that you actually brought up, the fact that you're Asian, and as we all know, in the African, Caribbean, and Asian community, a lot of these are silent.
Yep.
Because I know when I was growing up, and one of the things that, you know, when I first started my period, one of the things my aunt gave me a book to read, right? And I was reading everything except what I was meant to read, because, you know, she gave us this book, and, you know, as you know, when you're 10, 11, you're flicking all the pages and you see naked people, and, you know, for you, you know, you're looking at the anatomy and you're just laughing, and because she gave you the book to read about.
You had that, and hear what I had. I was about 10 when I started, and for I think 2 or 3 days, I knew I had the education, but it didn't linger in my head a bit.
Yeah.
So my grandma came over the weekend, and because my parents were always working, so I never got to see my parents. You know, that was another thing. And so my grandma came over and I was like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. And like, I think I cut myself. And she laughed. She went, no, you started. And that's where I did the biggest scream. I was like, I'm so young. How can this happen to me? This is us women. What are we going through?
Exactly. It is so interesting because when you finally, see your period for the first time, you're thinking, they did tell me, but what am I supposed to do now?
What we women go through, God help us.
Exactly. And you're thinking, what am I supposed to do now? And it's interesting because now, in terms of working for me, I'm now working in an all-girls school. And it was interesting because one of the most comfortable and liberating thing is working at all-girls school. There are no, trying to break down the barriers of all of those things. So a student might come in and, quietly, I'm saying to her, what are you talking quietly for? Are you on? I said, but miss, nothing. We are all female in here. And they're looking at me and say, miss, you're so funny. I said, no, we are all female in here. So it's okay to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yesterday, when one of my students came in, another one said to her, you need to, and I said to her, well, you saying to her she need to what? And then I look back and I said to her, oh yes. I say, you've got to stain on your dress because, you're actually going through. And she said, oh my goodness, miss. I said, pause. All you need to do is, have you got any? I said, okay, in the drawers or in the toilet, there should be something. And just go and get yourself sorted. Don't worry. And she said, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. I said, no, it's not. I said, because
That's
we are
what we need to
female.
change. Yeah.
Exactly. That definitely have to change. And I went into, the first 10, 15 minutes talking about why we need to change that. I say, the beautiful thing is we are doing sociology now and talking about women, etc. I said, this is the point. Look at this. I said, we all female in the classroom, but you guys is like, oh my goodness, because the student who actually like chew her first thing, oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed. I said, no. I said, it doesn't matter. I said, we all girl. I said, the school is the majority of female teachers. And on this block, they're all female. So what's the problem? Just go and get yourself sorted. But being so conditioned that even something like that was a big fear element. That's why it is so important that we not only educate our girls, we also need to educate our boys as well.
Boys as well, because they're going to grow into men, and
exactly,
they need to learn what women are going through.
Exactly.
What we go through everything from A to Z.
Yeah.
And and the only way the man's going to understand if you teach a young boy that is turning into teens, because they're going to go through their changes and they want to, some of them might feel embarrassed to talk to their mum about it because it's been a subject where, it's always been, no, it's a shame. It's, it's a topic you need to not talk about, but no, it should be another way. Like, let's talk about this freely and openly. There's nothing embarrassing about that.
Exactly. Thank you for that. As an Asian woman, what were some of the challenges you had when you began to talk about this is what happened to me? What did the community as a wide area, how did the community accept that?
When I came openly, it was they were making their own stories up, like who did it to me. They were making it, like I was thinking, this is why I did a Facebook Live. At the time, I was going through mental health and my work wasn't supporting me at that time. It felt like they were harassing me at the time. And I feel like some work placements don't take mental health serious.
Yes. That's true.
That needs to also be implemented in an environment for everyone. It should be freely spoken about as well, because people do exist. It's not like on my you see me, oh, she's fine, she's laughing all the time, but those are the people that are hiding the deepest secrets through their smile. And like when I was going through that as well, and then when I came open, and it was like there were families that were making their own stories, and they were they were filling my grandma's ear. And at the time she was like, oh my god, you're digging, you know, she thought it was my granddad. I said, no, it's nothing to do with granddad. I said, whoever said that to you is obviously making their own stories. And I said they shouldn't do that, because I've tried to explain to you who did it to me, and you was like, no, I don't talk about it. So I'm not going to go there and have that conversation where you're not. She was just like, oh, you're digging the grave for the family, you're, you know, you're going to ruin your marriage and stuff like that. And like, even till today, like, I have been married to him for 15 years.
Wow.
He's not, I don't know how to say this, but he does not understand me in that way. I've not been able to explain it to him openly, like what I've gone through, because of the language barrier. So like, he's not really fluent in English, so he only speaks his home language, which we speak Punjabi. So that's all, and it's hard to explain it in Punjabi because the way our words are, it could be one or two words. Just like, in a way, it can explain. It could be going. So I find it really hard to talk to him about this subject. I did try to mention him, like, you know, I'm going to the retreat, and he was like, right, you're going to get fixed, so you're going to come back, you know, you're fixed. And I said, no, it's not like I'm going to the retreat and I'm going to be perfectly fine when I'm back. There's going to be triggers, and part of the triggers, you need to learn that your triggering is me as well. So like, I tried to explain to him, he changed his ways a little bit, but it's really hard, because the way I am becoming, I've been coming quite strong now, and I'm strong-minded, and I'm starting to love myself, which is taking me
Fantastic.
years, decades, and I think that's when women shift. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, uh-oh, gotta look out, man. But I don't, like, I was going through that crisis as well in my relationship. I was questioning it. It's like, I don't know if I want to be with this man. Do you know, like, you know, he's not gonna ever understand me. Like, he supports me in certain ways, don't get me wrong. Like, he's a fab dad and everything. He's a fab, like, you know, but like, being what I wanted, a soul connection partner, is a missing jigsaw there. But that's what I've been having a lot of buts in my life at the moment as well recently. Is the relationship in the long run, is it, I don't know. So I'm a bit like this. And I have spoken to him about it. You know, I said, you need to change your ways a little bit. Otherwise, I don't know where I'm going to be. Like, you know, our relationship as well. So he's given me that space, and so I kind of appreciated at that time he understood I was serious, because he saw that shift in me as well. He was like, well, you know, she's not listening anymore, because I was like, I've done with compromising. I said, I've done 37 or 36 years of my life for everyone, for family, for, I'm filling up everyone's cup, and I'm like, my ones are just, I'm just drowning now. I'm at the verge where that's where I had that massive breakdown, because I put myself last. And then when I started to think about myself, I was like, who am I? You know, like, I was disgraced with myself, because the way I was conditioned to think, like, you know, I am and that shame, and, you know, all those words you can say to yourself, I had, and I've gone through. I had to work on my own mindset, and being through this company and meeting so many women that empower women every daily basis has kept me going. Is why I'm still here. It's like, I know you have other women that we don't talk about, the, you know, the gossiping, the bitchy sideness, that world exists as well, but I've come away from that world, and I'm funny enough, I was a tom girl. Like, you know, I was a tomboy because I used to love hanging out with boys. I was like, women are dramas, and look at me now working with women.
So
Who
you
thought
come
it?
full circle. You come full circle, right?
Yeah. So yeah, now I love it. I enjoy it. So like, if I see a woman like me, that how I started, and if I've changed my life into, transformed it into there, why can't you? You're worthy of every single You know, you give yourself that break, break that silence, get out there and get the love that, self-love is the highest thing. Once you get that, that's it. No stopping you, Will. No stopping you.
Thank you for that. It is so, so true. And I just reinforce what you say in terms of self-love is the most powerful, natural, pure love you can have. Because if you do not love yourself, no one else would love you. And you need to love yourself enough so that you show people how you want to be treated and how you want to be loved. Or else it's only their perception of how they feel they ought to love you. And that may not work for you. So you need to constantly remind people, hello, this is not how love is for me. This is how I want you to love me. And something I've always said, when women or man, whoever, men, women, whoever, when you actually start treating people very negatively, that is coming from a place of hatred. Because if you love yourself enough, there is no way on earth that you are going to treat anybody in a very negative and derogatory fashion. Because if you love yourself enough, what's coming from you would be pure love. But when you don't love yourself enough, you tend to project all negative onto other people. And that's something I said to my class yesterday. The more you love yourself, the more love radiates from you because you love yourself. But the more you are dissatisfied with yourself, all you bring to other people is dissatisfaction, negativity, frustration, because guess what? You are coming from a place of frustration.
I think it's like trauma. It's like when you start learning to heal within yourself. And like for me, it was the biggest when I went out there for the retreat. I actually 4 days, I've never ever shut off, like completely shut off from social media, from the world. Me in that scenery, like it's in the mountains, I can't even explain it. It's a breathtaking view, and the way they've designed this house is like fit for a queen. That's how I explain it. I felt like the queen while I was out there. I didn't have to cook for anyone. The food was made for me. It was like, oh my God, like I didn't have to cook. Because that's another thing I have. It's like I'm stressing. What do I cook every day? It's like, what do I have to make for the family? So I made sure I fed them before I did this live. I was like, do not disturb me. But like it is hard working around these conditions, and so I am going to start going back to work. So I had to quit my job because of, like I told you, because I was going through mental health and breakage, and then I was going to the retreat. So I just felt like it was a space where it was triggering me a lot, and I needed to work on that to realize like the way I was getting treated in that workplace by the management, and then also the way I was getting spoken to by the customers. I was like, I am worth more than this. Like when you start seeing your worth, then you don't associate yourself in that environment anymore. You get yourself out of that, because you know how it is deep down, how it feels to be hurt. And that's why I would never ever wish an inch on anyone to be in that, to feel that sadness, to feel that guilt, to feel that trauma, because it is not a nice place. It's taken me years to work on to get to here, to be able to speak about it and to be open about it. And still there's going to be family and friends out there that are going to be like, oh my God, she's crazy, she's going out there, she's talking about it. But it's got to be done. It's got to be coming out of someone. We all got to educate and help it prevent.
Thank you. I so agree with you on that, because as you know, coming from the culture and environment you're coming from, there'll be a lot of backlashes. You're going to have people saying to you, oh, this is family secret. What are you talking about? You're not supposed to be saying that, and all the negative that you're not supposed to, you shouldn't, and the list goes on. But what they fail to realize is, as you said earlier on, it's a cost. And if you don't break that cycle, that generational cost continues. And then you have to ask yourself, so when and where would it stop? It's gotta be stopped. It gotta stop with us. Because the children coming up, they need to be feeling free enough to discuss. They need to realize that, okay, you know, why should someone treat me like this? Why should I accept that kind of a treatment? As you rightly say earlier on, you want more than that. And it's about time, like women especially, we start identifying our self-worth.
Yeah.
So important.
And also with this, because now social media is so highly impacted on like teenagers, young kids. How do you feel about that? Because
well, it's interesting because I noticed that the government was saying that mobile phone need to be banned from school. However, there's a lot of secondary school in the UK where the mobile phone have been banned, in the sense that, you know, if I see any student in my class with the mobile phone, I just stretch my hand out and I say, you know, you got something for me. You know what you have for me, you want your phone, just pass it. And in a lot of schools I've gone to, there is not an issue. However, I remember having an American teacher on the program, and she said to me that the mobile phone is a real issue for them. Because I think the other reason why is because they've had so many shootings in America, parents feel that it's essential that the children have the phone. But thankfully, we don't have those situations.
yeah,
You know, or in terms it's quite minimal. So therefore, it is much easier for us to ban the mobile phone. And a lot of schools have already implemented that, because in a lot of schools from secondary school, no child is allowed mobile phone from year 7 all the way up. And even though they have it in year 10, you know, they know that no teacher is supposed to see the phone. So I teach 6th formers, and as I said to them yesterday, I said, you guys know you're not supposed to have the phone. So if I see the phone, I'm going to take it. And that is something that it's easier to manage, because today I saw one of my students, I said, what are you doing with your phone? Oh, but miss, and then she gave me an excuse. I say, hold on, you know that's not correct. Yeah. Right? I say, you know, if I see the phone, I'm going to take it, and you'll have to get it till the end of the day. So that's not an issue. But what I also tend to do with the mobile phone is that sometimes if I want them to do a piece of research, I'll say to them, okay, this is the only time I'm giving you permission to use your phone to do group work research. So we were looking at domestic violence, yeah, and domestic abuse. So I wanted them to look at the latest statistic. And I say, okay, I know you guys have your mobile phone, so take out that mobile phone, work in groups, and find the latest statistic. That's the only reason, that's the only how I allow them to use the phone. No other way. Because the mobile phone could be I find it could be quite damaging, and it has a lot of impact on young minds. And too often we tend to feel that the mobile phone is something that we should support and allow them to use, and saying that, oh, they're young people. I totally against that, because I think those are excuses we're using to justify, you know, some of this craziness that we have going on.
I think, like, as in parents as well, to have that conversation with their child.
Yes.
Most of them avoid that, and they just like have your gadget and that's it.
Yeah.
See me like bedtime, and that's about it.
Exactly. And one of the sad thing is a lot of parents seem to use the tablet as a way of keeping the children quiet.
Yep.
And I remember parents saying to me, oh yes, my child is able to use the tablet, and she was gleaming in it and thought it was exciting. And I said to her, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't see why you should be feeling excited about that, because the child is able to use the tablet. I said, I find it dangerous because too young, this child is able to use this tablet. You know, some people might say, oh, you're being old fashioned, etc. that might be the case, but as a teacher, I'm seeing some of the impact it's having, because in terms of, body images, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And how some of the children see themselves. Yesterday, something I said to all my students, I do a lot of mirror work with them,
Yeah.
to see themselves as beautiful in the mirror, etc. And I was saying that to all my groups, and every day, anytime I see them, I remind them. However, yes, I tend to use the student toilets because it's easy and it's close, etc. So yesterday I was in the toilet, and one of my students, she only just left my class, and it was a break time. And she was looking in the mirror and she said, "Oh, I'm so ugly." And I said to her, "Stop." I said, "Why do you think that you're ugly?" And she's looking at me and she said, "Oh, Miss, I just feel ugly." And then there was one of her friends that was saying to her, "Why are you saying you're ugly?" And I said to her, "I've got a problem with that." I said, "I want you to look in the mirror and tell me exactly what you see in the mirror." So it's like I had to spend a good 5-7 minutes with her. And I said to her, "I want to see her every day so that I could just have her remind herself that she's beautiful." So there must be something that has triggered that student to see herself so ugly. And then she said to me, "Miss, when I look in the mirror, I really see myself as ugly." And it's like, I had to say to her, "You need to keep on telling yourself you're beautiful." And her friend that was with her said to her, "You need to say that every day. And the more you say that every day, the more you're going to start becoming used to it, and the more you're going to see yourself beautiful." And I thought that was really fantastic, because these two students are students from my class.
Yeah.
And it was really nice that one of them was able to support the other.
Yeah, support the other, yeah.
Exactly.
It's heartbreaking when you hear a child say that.
Yes.
It's
It
so
was,
much with social media impact and like how mean some children are because they're not being educated in an appropriate manner how to speak to other person, because words can trigger someone. They're not realizing that if you use this word to a certain person, that person can be triggered. So she might have been, like you said, she's been triggered.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing about it is she had a friend that was extremely supportive.
That's it, yeah.
Because when I went on, I said, "What's up?" Because they've only just left my lesson.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Miss, because initially I thought she was saying that because they just left my lesson. But then I realized she was serious. And I said to her, "Why are you saying that?" And she said, "But Miss, I see myself so ugly." And it's like, have to go all over with her. And her friend was very, very supportive, reminding her that, yes, what me said, and and you just have to keep on saying, you stay in the mirror every day that you're beautiful. And after a while, you're going to start believing it, and you need to tell yourself. And I thought that student who supported her was very, very good.
That's what I mean, like us, when you find that right crowd of the magic that can happen to the person, like, when you pass that self-belief into the other person, it empowers, like you say, it empowers and it brings that magic to the person. It's amazing when that happens.
Yeah, it really does, because, she felt, supportive, and she turned around and she said to me, "Miss, thank you." I said, "But I say that to you guys every day when I see you guys." And I say, "I need to work on you, because there must be something that have actually triggered you or have been triggering you, that when you're looking in this mirror, all you're saying to us is you see yourself as ugly." So, the sad thing about those things, that a lot of these things is generational. And some of these things starts from, home life, family, etc. It's like today I had a class of, I don't normally teach any group except the sixth form, but there's some days I cover. So today I covered 2 classes, unexpectedly, year 8 and year 9. And I said to all the students I cover, all my students, "Have you got a mirror in your bedroom, in your house?" "Yes." "What do you do in the mirror apart from brushing your teeth and splashing the toothpaste on the mirror?" And I say, oh, miss, no, I look at myself, and it's like telling them they need to look at themselves and see themselves as beautiful. And anytime I say that to a group of students, the class is silence.
I love that. I love that.
There's silence. And I said, so what happened to the mirror then? And then they're going to start laughing. And I say, okay, so this is what I want you to do. And I say, when you guys see me on the corridor, you know, you just need to remind me, or I'll remind you that, have you looked in the mirror? Right? Because that is something we need to remind the students. And the interesting thing is, after all, because I also need to remind them that they've been told that they're ugly, either from siblings, because we know siblings tell each other, look at you, you're ugly, your nose is wide, your mouth is thick, and it's like all this negative thing. Yeah. And some schools, because I go out in different schools, and there's some schools when I say that in, there's sometimes I'm very, very aware, because it could trigger a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them have not been told that they're beautiful, because especially females, all they get is negativity. And I was in a school last year where the student came up and said to me, Miss, thank you. And I said to her, thank you, what for? And then she was telling me that, you know, she started that school recently in the last, I think it was 3 months, and how they used to pick on her and she was bullied. They told her she was fat and she was ugly. Yes, okay, you have weight on, but that doesn't mean you're ugly. You know, and for me, that kind of a triggered her. So after the lesson, she came and I needed to, you know, to sort her out, because she was emotional.
Yeah.
Because she, you know, that was a year 7 who saw herself as ugly because she was, you know, yes, she, you know, she had puppy fat on, but that was used as a very negative thing for her.
Negative, impact.
Exactly. And that had a real impact on her. And the fact that I was telling them to repeat and tell the next door neighbor, you know, that they're beautiful, and the neighbor tell them they're beautiful. And it's like all of that. So that was a trigger for that students. And it is very sad that this is still happening now.
Yeah, it is. And it's actually even more than we say, because it is exposed to social media. Like I said, you know, they're exposed to all these content, and sadly I've witnessed, and I'm like, oh my God, parents, the way they speak to their kids, like some of them, I'm just like, that is unbelievable. I would not speak to my child like that. But some of the parents implement this as well, like you're saying, it's happening from home, from their siblings. It's only because it's happening through their family. It's getting portrayed into the world as well. And the social media is to blame as well, with how they think, you know, you need to be a top model for this, and you need to be in a certain way. No, you are beautiful just the way you are, because God has made us this way. That's why, you know, we should implement that. And that is such a, I love it, like how you engross that every day with your students, and they know that. What we need to start doing in the world, start doing that with every person out there. You know, even compliment a stranger, like, you know, you don't know, you can make their day. Like I'm a weirdo like that. I compliment someone, I'm like, oh my God, you're wearing a fab dress. She's like, never. She goes, my husband hates it. I went, no, let him hate it. I said, you look damn gorgeous, girl. She's like, yeah, but I'm old. I said, it doesn't matter about age. I said, if I look that good at your age, girl, work it.
Exactly. It is so very true. And I do feel that in terms of compliment, it's important that we do that. And it doesn't matter if it's a male or female, we need to do that. And, you know, as you rightly say, it does make people realize, oh my goodness, thank you. It's like me, that sometimes I would see someone, because I'm bright color, I love bright color. I would see someone wear a pink, I say, oh my goodness, I love that. And I just pass and I go about my business. There is no conversation. I don't want to chat to you. I'm just telling you, I love that color. That color looked fantastic. And it's like the time that look, I'm gone, because I'm just giving you the compliment because it's lovely. And I think it is so important that these are things that we need to remind human beings when they look good, we need to tell them. And something I've said to people as well, I said, when we complain about everything. In the same way, when we see something is right, we need to compliment as well. It's like this morning I did a live, which was funny because the Elizabeth line, you know, the new line started. I traveled on that line twice and it was real. I thought it was slow. I didn't think it was fantastic. Everybody was going on, but the Elizabeth line is fantastic. It's fast. And I think I used it twice. I think it's a waste of time. It's crap. It's rubbish. Anyway, we've had strike. The train I was using this morning was canceled. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the train canceled. What am I going to do? I need to get to work because I have to, you know, I start at 1:45, the student, Anyway, I thought, well, Elizabeth line, you're the only line that is there, I have to take you. And it's like, as human beings, when we have to, change is an issue for us because we don't like change.
It is, yeah.
You know, exactly. And I'm thinking, okay, I have to take the Elizabeth line, and I'm walking through my head as to where am I getting this line from? Anyway, eventually got to the line, and I got onto the platform, and I was laughing myself. And I'm thinking, okay, I love the, you know, it's in an encasement. Nobody could actually say that they want to throw themselves on the line. So, you know, that's nice. Okay. The train came and I look and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Normally the line I take is 6 stops. And I would wait 15 minutes for that train sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so awful. When the Elizabeth line come, 2 minutes, I got on the train right and I sat there thinking, oh, 2 stops because it cut all the other stop out because it's a fast. I think, oh my goodness, this is nice. And I had to do a live this morning to correct myself because there's sometimes the universe and God make us eat our words. So I had to come and exactly because I was eating my words and I say, you know what, Elizabeth line, forgive me for talking you bad, right? Because it was a fantastic line. And this afternoon, I was saying to when I got in, I was saying to my colleague, they said, oh, how was it? I said, well, the trains were rubbish because the train was not running. The tube I was using was canceled last minute. The other one wasn't working. I said, guess what? I had to take the Elizabeth line and I was telling them about it. And I said to them, you know, there's sometimes, exactly. I said that sometimes we are quick to pass judgment on very little experience. My experience was twice I used the Elizabeth line. So on those bases, I felt that I was an authority on talking about the Elizabeth line. I used it twice and the 2 experiences were negative. So I thought, okay, the Elizabeth line is a rubbish line. This morning I thought, oh my goodness. This afternoon, I didn't even look for my normal train. I'd gone straight to the Elizabeth line, right? And then I said to my colleagues, I say, you know what? I'll be taking the Elizabeth line from now on every day because it's faster. Instead of 5 or 7 stops, it's 2 stops.
Third time lucky, I guess.
Exactly, isn't it? And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, too often we quick to pass judgment.
Yeah.
And at times we need to compliment things when they need complimenting. When they need complaining, we have to complain. So I say, well, I complain too quickly. After the second time I complain, I'm thinking, you know what, Elizabeth line, I did you an injustice. All this time I would have been traveling on the Elizabeth line, getting to work with less hassle instead of waiting 15 minutes for my train to come.
You like taking the longest route, I take it.
Exactly. Because I was stubborn. I was thinking, Elizabeth line, hell no. One of my colleagues said to me last week, oh, are you going to take this Elizabeth line? I said, no, I said, I really don't like that line. Today I had to say to her, well, I'm confessing here, you know, from now on, the Elizabeth line and we good friends now, right? Yeah. So there's sometimes we need to, to give things time.
No, it's true.
You know, exactly. So the lesson for me was, I need to give things time. I did not give the Elizabeth line enough time and credit.
I think we all have something as a person. We're always hard or we're harsh or we're quick to judge, you know, and just to whatever I think you know within yourself what you struggle with, and it's to find methods and ways of like how you can keep that in control and how you know there's another, like a table to it, not just the surface.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah. It is so very true. It is so very, very true. That sometimes we are too hard and quick to judge. There are times we need to take a step back, pause, and reflect in, and then say, okay, let me take this, let me take a look at that.
because life
So
is tough anyway, as it is.
exactly, exactly. It is very, very true. And there's sometimes we forget, those things. At times we too hard on ourselves, especially as women, you
Hmm.
know. That sometimes we just toughen ourselves. And in terms of educating, it is so important for women that we educate our children,
Yeah.
increase their awareness, because they need to come to us as the primary carer, primary social agent of control, so that they know that we are the first
Yeah.
place for them to come to. And, going back to you, a lot of the times that, and it's also a generational thing, when you actually told your mother, the first thing she says, it's always questioning, isn't it? So therefore, and I also feel that they really want to believe you, but they have an air of doubt and fear of what you're saying is true, that they will actually start losing credibility for those individuals who commit those crimes.
And also it's for like the community, that's what implements them most. It's like,
Yes.
what is the other person gonna say? What is this? But I'm not being funny, it happens. Not everyone's gonna be open about their house, what happens in their house.
Yeah.
Everyone in every way has been affected.
Mhm.
Someone has gone through it in their circle, but it's a subject that they always want to brush under. It's a condition, they're being conditioned. And
Mhm.
like, if like, I think those were the times when parents didn't want to listen. I don't know, because that's how I felt. Like, they didn't want to listen because of the shame, the guilt it would bring in the family.
Mhm.
And like now generations trying to open that and say, it's happening to so and so, it's not just
Mhm.
happening in our family.
Mhm.
There's a lot going out there that everyone's being silent about, and you shouldn't be silent about, because it's a world where you should open up.
Mhm.
Because when you open up, you don't know how much you're healing,
Mhm.
and you're sharing awareness, and from preventing as well, from the future generation can pick up on these signs at an early stage that we couldn't
Mhm.
pick up on because we didn't understand what it meant, how we deal with it, because now it's so much open out there that kids know more than we did at our age.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
because they are really advanced now, and with technology, and like, more, I think it's just more open now, and
Mhm.
you should be able to open up about it.
Mhm. I totally agree with you there. That's why feminists always say, in terms of the nuclear family, the dark side of the family.
Yeah.
And there is a dark side of the family. Any family, there is a dark side.
Oh
But
yes.
as you rightly say, it's like, oh, it's like a hush hush. But the minute you start talking about it, you realize that it's not only in your family, as you rightly say, it's in the family next door, the one next door. And it's like every family have a secret. They all
Yeah.
have a dark side that they don't want the world to know, because they want the world to feel and see that, oh yes, we're such a happy family. Oh yes, we all love each other, etc. Crap. In every family, there is a dark side. Whether or
Yeah.
not you want to address
Everyone
it.
is going through a trauma. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And whether or not you want to address it, whether or not you want to, to talk about it or not, every family have a dark side. And the more and the faster we begin to identify it, the faster we're going to be able to deal with it and start healing from it.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So there is nothing to be ashamed of. What the shame is, not talking is the shame.
Yeah. That's the shame. That
Yeah,
is the shame.
yeah.
And that's what gets implemented in our brains, the ones that are survivors. That is what brings us to not talk about it, because we blame ourselves. And it should be, no, we don't blame ourselves, it's the other person. Obviously they got their own issues. And I feel like, with me, I know a lot of survivors don't forgive, but I've learned that through over like faith as well. I do believe in God. That's why I'm still here. But like I know a lot of people lose faith in God, but like because we say God created us, but like God created good and bad, but it's the way we take, you know, like negative or positive. I mean, I was really negative person throughout until I got married, and that's where I started seeing the positiveness because how my husband works, like how he is, he's a really positive person. So that was in positivity, like magic that happened in my life at the time that I needed, because I was going through a very negative time of my stage. I was only 21, 22. When I got married, I was about 22, 23. So quite young. And now children don't get married till their 40s. That's the new trend. But like I think I wasn't feel like, you know, I was at that age where everything was chosen for me kind of thing. And like I'm at this stage of my life, I'm like, you know, I feel like I can choose. And I know it's taken me years, but like, hey, better than never late. And
Exactly. Yeah.
so I'm just like, women out there, you can, once you start seeing your self-love and self-worth, you can absolutely smash the world out there. Like there's nothing impossible that you can't do. And you know, finding that inner healing that you deserve, because it took me a long time to say that, because I felt like there was someone else that needed this healing, you know, someone else deserved that more than me. I had this, you know, that kind of negative talk to myself. And then when you meet a bunch of group of women that empower you, like you talk about your mirror, it's like that. You have these women that act like your mirror, and they're talking to you, you know, like so angel, like positiveness, and it brings out the fire that, you know, you've burnt inside you, brings that out, and you know, you're ready to fire out with it to the world and share that passion and share that love, and to make other women and men feel the same. You know,
Thank you for that. What 3 suggestions can you give women to help them to empower themselves?
self-love, mindset, and self-worth is, and compassion. Self-compassion is the biggest thing for me.
What do you mean? What does self-compassion look like for you?
Look, self-compassion means as in like I'm starting to love myself as a body. So I've found that activity which I'm starting to go to the gym. So to me that is self-compassion for me, because I'm starting to see my body in ways that I never used, and I'm like grateful, like, you know, the little muscles that I never knew existed, you know, where we sweat in the places we shouldn't. I'm like, oh my God, this existed.
Yeah, yeah.
So like self-compassion is like taking time out for yourself as well. Like it's taken me a long time to be independent, like to go out by myself. I always used to go, never go out on my own, because I always was injected I need to go with someone because of that fear. I think once you work on that, and also like something you love doing that brings your soul the happiness, go out there and do it.
Thank you so very much, Daljit. It's been a fantastic, fantastic session. And I'm so grateful for you feeling so comfortable enough to share your journey, you know, what have taken place with us. Because as you say, by actually speaking out, it helps other women to feel comfortable that they too would be able to speak out, and they too could actually be on that journey and see themselves as, oh my goodness, this is what happened to me. I could talk about it. I could step out of my comfort zone and talk about it. There's nothing wrong with me talking about it. It doesn't matter what society thinks. It's about healing yourself, because the more you keep it inside of you, the less healing that takes place. The more you express it, the more healing is able to take place. So I'm really grateful for that. And as I said at the beginning of the session, this month is Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. And as we know, how many women get killed on a daily basis through domestic abuse. It is a lot of women, and a
And there
lot
are
of
men out
women.
there as well.
Sorry?
I said, and there's men as well. There are men out there as
Exactly.
well. We're not
Exactly.
excluding them.
Yes, there are men out there as well, but there are far more women are being,
Yeah, more
you know,
women. Yeah.
abused and killed through domestic abuse. And, you know, those are the things we need to increase awareness. It's interesting. I was saying to my student yesterday, I said to them, there are a lot of men that also get abused. And I said to them, why do you think that the men out there who get abused is not going to talk about it? And the pause, right? And as I say, I have the teaching assistant in my group. And then she said, can I ask? I said, of course. She said to them, one of the things is, could you imagine a macho man saying to his friend, oh yes, my wife actually does abuse me, and she actually gave me this black eye. Could you imagine this macho man saying something like this? It's an ego thing.
It is an ego thing, and also it's the way the society's been conditioned again.
Exactly.
The generation curse, that's what we need to break. We need to be able to speak about these topics without feeling the shame.
Exactly.
The shame is the biggest.
Yeah, it is very true, because I know men that have been abused by women or just abused, and it's only now they're beginning to come out and talk about it. And especially, you know, ethnic minority men, because they need to be seen as macho. And how could they actually be telling their friends that, oh yes, my wife actually gave me this black eye? They're going to be saying all sorts of things, excuses, except what it is. And as you say, it's a situation where it's a generational curse and being programmed that, how could you be open enough to say something like this? You know, so, you know, I've got a friend that actually have a program called Men Speak Out. And it's important that both men and women, we need to speak out. There's no point in suppressing it. It doesn't help us, it doesn't help the other generation, and it doesn't help our society or our community.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Touch bases on like anyone that's been childhood sexually abused as women. Sophia, you can have a look. I'll put the link down. It's also free online resources for any parenting teachers. It's for age appropriate to teach you how to prevent from child sexual abuse. There's a lot of free resources, and also if you, as a woman like me, that have been sexually abused and you want to find that inner healing, you got to a stage where you feel accepted, that you've accepted, like, you know, yourself, you're ready to find that healing. I would highly recommend the retreat to find that inner healing, because it's helped me. And also it's an online learning as well, so that you don't just stop there. You find like, you know, therapy, like methods, how to help you implement it into your daily life and to keep carrying on strong. And that's it. And you are worthy.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Daljit. I really appreciate it. Thank you for accepting the offer to come online to share your journey with us. And thank you, Facebook. I will see you guys on Friday. I have a show with a colleague of mine in LA. So I'll be coming to you guys, sharing it on my platform. And we back in terms of the home education on Friday. We're also back on Saturday with Female Educator Roundtable. So we basically back. And I've been doing my daily Facebook Live. So, you know, tap into us and see some of the things that we're sharing, etc. Anyway, guys, take care, stay blessed, have a fantastic night, morning, evening, where you are. And I will speak to you guys. Take care. Oh.